Will you get more for your house if you sell it in the fall instead of the spring? I'm getting that question a lot, and we'll have some insight for you and a perspective that I bet you haven't considered. All right, we're headed into the fall. The spring market was awesome. And so people are like, hey, did I miss it? If I sell in the fall, am I going to sell for less than what I would have sold for in the spring? Historically, the highest median sales price of the year is in the spring and in the early summer. And then as you go into fall and winter, the median sales price drops a little bit. The days on market go up a little bit. And that has a lot to do with just there's more activity at the beginning of the year. This year, we've seen that same trend as we headed through the summer. And we've also just seen a bigger change in the overall environment this year than what we normally see as interest rates have risen. So yeah, I mean, if you were putting your house on the market, April 1st versus August 1st, you're probably looking at a little bit higher price April 1st than you are right now. However, each house is different, and if you want to price the house the way they were being priced back then you probably would get a pretty amazing activity and get it bid up and all of that sort of stuff. But now prices have risen, so people are pricing their house at a higher price. The house that April 1st house that was listed, you're pricing it at the closing price up there. So it's not exactly apples to apples on that. But what I would say from a perspective standpoint that most people don't think about is if you are buying and selling at the same time, you're buying and selling here in the Atlanta market, it's really all the same. It was great to sell in 2007. It was not good to buy in 2007. It was great to buy in 2011. It was not great to sell. But if you're doing it in the same market, you're essentially having the same experience. I mean, the buyers have higher interest rates to buy your house. You have higher interest rates to buy the house that you're buying. You're in a similar setup. Now, obviously, you're moving out of Atlanta, you're selling a rental property, and you're not using it to buy another property. Hey, maybe you're going to put it into crypto. You got to pay taxes when you sell that property if you don't roll it into another property. In that scenario, yeah, you're trying to just worry about the sale. I mean, it's just all about, hey, am I selling right now? And what does that look like? And so some people will be like, hey, maybe I want to wait until next spring. Historically, the spring is better. And so if we had a crystal ball, we just tell you, hey, prices are going to be higher or lower in the spring. I think the biggest thing to think about if you have no life factors, because to me, your life factor is important. Where you're living for the next 6 or 7 months makes a difference. Are you moving twice? That sort of stuff, does make a difference. It's hard to put a monetary value on that. But if you're only looking at the numbers on it over the next 6 or 7 months, I think inflation is the biggest key. We just had an inflation reading for June. Inflation was still up a ton, but it has leveled off the pace of acceleration. And so, markets have reacted positively to that initially. And if that continues to be the case, that's probably going to be good for the real estate market to do well because, inflation goes down, people have more money. It doesn't hurt their affordability as much. You're probably not going to see interest rates continue to climb as much. Now, it goes the other way, then, this was just a blip and the trend goes, there's more inflation. Things cost more. It's harder to buy things. It's harder to buy a house. It's likely mortgage rates will go up. That hurts affordability as well. And so you may not see the seasonal factors there because we have something external to the season. So all that to say, if you're buying and selling, whatever market you're doing it in, you're doing it at the same time. Otherwise, it's hard to time the market. And what we do know is what's happening right now. And does that work for you? And we'd be happy to help you think about that for your situation. Right now, houses are still selling. If you got dropped into this market from just like a point in time and you didn't know how great it was for sellers 4 months ago, you'd be like, wow, this is really great. And if you got dropped in and you were a buyer, you'd be like, yeah, there's competition, but I can get a house. It's a good market if you just look at it from that perspective, whichever side you're on. So we'd love to help you think about your specific situation. Hopefully this helped you think a little bit about spring versus fall, and we will see you guys again next week.